If you should need assistance during the call, please press *0 on your telephone keypad and an operator will come back to assist you. Please submit any questions you have in the chat box, and once the presentation has completed, questions will then be answered. Thank you. Sheldon Bernstein, you may begin your conference.
Yes, thank you very much, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I realize we have people attending from across the nation, and my name is Sheldon Bernstein, as was mentioned. I am a partner trainer here at Google, and today we're going to be talking about and walking through a number of free tools available from Google to help us with that scenario we've all been challenged with before, the brand brief. Whether it's trying to win over a big new business client prospect or planning campaigns for new and existing clients, coming to the table with great insights and strategies is an absolute must. The free tools from Google that we're going to walk through today are aimed at making that possible for anyone on your teams, even if you only have 10 minutes. So before we take the plunge into any conversation with a client or prospective client, it's important to know what you're jumping into and be ready to know how that may be perceived. Marketers, those who we actually sell our services to, have a major complaint about agencies. And can anyone guess what that complaint is? It's that agencies only talk about themselves. Now, don't get me wrong, because everyone that's on the call today, I believe wholeheartedly, is part of a great team and a great company. Many of you are building your client bases from scratch, and that's definitely something to be proud of. But according to a third-party RSW US research survey, including over 300 marketing decision makers and agency principals, nearly 3 out of 4 marketers say that when an agency or a person walks into their room to talk about new business, the focus is all about the agency or their company first and the client second. What's even more surprising is that a mere 1 out of 10 marketers feels that those of us walking into their offices are always coming to the table prepared to talk about the business, the product, and the future. And it's that 10% who ultimately end up winning that business. And one thing to remember, marketers like hearing from the entire team, not just your one go-to guy or girl. I know some of you that are on the call today are probably more familiar with presenting than others, but marketers expect to be able to count on anyone on your team to step up to the challenge. The solution is simple. Educate and empower your entire team to be able to deliver valuable and actionable insights that your clients want to hear. And today, I'm going to show you a number of free tools which are designed to do just that, quickly and easily. This is accomplished in really 3 major phases. 1, marketing research to the bottom left. 2nd, putting together a comprehensive media plan. And then, of course, optimizing your plan and measuring its success. And so we're going to focus on tools that cut across all 3 and are designed to help you develop a campaign strategy quickly and easily, implement this strategy, and then optimize and measure its success. From media planners to agency principals, any of these tools can not only make your life easier, but allow your agency or your business to shine during a meeting. So we have a number of different types of companies and businesses on the line today. Some of us are general agencies. Some of us are specialized in the automobile vertical. Some of us are specialized in travel and or legal. So we're going to take and shape the context of this conversation in a general way. But for those of us in auto, we may look at this scenario that I'm presenting here, which on the screen says for us to present a brand brief to Samsung for a new HDTV. For those of us in auto, we may be considering that Toyota has approached us with creating a brand brief for their new Avalon hybrid model. For those of us that are in the travel industry, perhaps maybe there's a new boutique hotel opening up in New York City, and we're asked to present a brand brief for them. The key to what we'll be viewing next, ladies and gentlemen, is to open our minds and look at the value of these tools, how they can apply to you. But to shape this context, right now we're just going to pretend that we've been presented with a brand brief from Samsung to create a new campaign for an HDTV. And so with that being said, Where would we begin? Well, if we were watching the slides a second ago, it shouldn't come as a surprise that we begin with research. And so before I begin to demonstrate some of our research tools, it should be fair to say that many of us have done research in the past. And for those of us that have done research for calls in the past, think for a second of some of those resources that you've used. Some of us have used, ComScore. Some of us have used McKinsey and others. And what do we end up doing? We end up perusing through long reports, just hoping that they have the information that we need. And sometimes those reports can cost hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands. What we're going to be walking through today are some resources that won't hurt your wallet, because all these resources are entirely free. So, where should we begin our research? Well, let's start broadly with who we care about the most, the consumer. I think we can safely say that getting insights into consumer behavior is invaluable. And we have a tool called the Consumer Barometer that does just that. This tool is actually developed by TNS and the IAB, and it allows you to peek into the minds of your target consumers and learn about how they approach your product or service throughout the purchase cycle. The tool can help us answer questions such as, how are consumers making purchases in our region overall and within our target category? Where do they begin their research and journey to purchase? What is the most important factor overall for the purchase decision? So, let's take a look. We're going to do a demo live right now of the Consumer Barometer. All of the tools that I'm going to go through with you today are all found on google.com/think. And I'm going to zoom in on this so that's easier for us to see. When we go to google.com/think, there's a wealth of great information here. You can see we have information on automotive, travel, and tourism. These are all industry case studies, very, very powerful. For us, today we're going to walk through products and tools, and specifically planning tools. You'll see that there are a number of tools here that are available for us to take a look at. Our goal at the moment is to get some consumer insight. So we'll go to the Consumer Barometer and give that a click. We can read some descriptions of this tool, but we're going to go ahead and try it now. So when we click on that, we do have this pretty, yes, it's kind of cool looking, moving representation here. And we're presented with three options. We can browse through the results or data with an easy-to-use interface. We can create our very own tailored graph, or we can also drill down into the full data structure. So we're going to go ahead and jump into browse, and then get some insights into how do consumers research and purchase products online. And so again, we're following, you can see that we have data from across a number of different countries here. We're going to choose the US, and just by hovering, we can see easily that in the US, 26% overall purchase online, and then drilling down once more, we can select our category on the left. I just happen to know that for HDTVs, visual devices is located right here. We can see that 15% overall purchased online, which quite honestly sounds a bit low, doesn't it? But if we click on that and examine the data closely, when this pulls up, I'm going to zoom in for all of you. When we examine the data closely, while there were 15% overall that purchased online, 36% did research online only, and 31% actually did research online and offline. So when we combine the two together, you can see that 67%, more than 2/3 of people, did do research online, even if they eventually purchased offline. Added to that, we can see down the bottom right-hand side, and I'll zoom in a little bit for you. We can see down the bottom right-hand side here that consumers start their research in this particular instance with search engines and advertising before the final and most important factor, ending up with a visit to a store to see the product in person. So in just a few minutes, we've answered these key questions about consumer research and behavior as it relates to our target market and industry. We know that 67% of consumers do research online first. We know that search engines are the most common place for consumers to start research on visual devices. And as expected, in-store visits are the most important factor overall in the purchase decision, but this is clearly influenced by online research behavior. So we're off to a really great start in our research about our industry and consumer. Next up are two more tools that allow us to go even deeper into the effect of various marketing channels on purchase decisions. So we're going to go ahead and check out the customer journey to online purchase. This report comprises transactional data collected across roughly 40,000 Google Analytics accounts, profiles that have e-commerce tracking enabled. These profiles were segmented by 7 different countries and currencies. The report includes only profiles whose owners have authorized sharing with Google Analytics and third parties. And the selected profiles were filtered to exclude those with 0 conversion counts and negative conversion values. So in other words, the conversion metrics, path length, time lag, channel distribution, these are all derived from the multi-channel funnels reports in Google Analytics. And if we're unfamiliar with multi-channel funnels or Google Analytics, don't worry, we have other pieces coming forward that would ultimately help you understand that. But just this tool is pulled from Google data. All right? And John Wanamaker famously said, I know that half of my advertising works. The problem is I just don't know which half. And this tool can help us answer questions such as, how do different marketing channels affect customer purchase decisions for our industry and region? How does the length of the customer journey impact purchase value for our industry and region? So we're going to do a live demo of this and jump back to google.com/think. Back under Planning and Products and Tools, under Planning Tools. Scrolling down past a number of great resources. And from here, we can easily see a chart depicting, you guessed it, the customer journey to online purchase. And on the left-hand side, we begin with the highest or earliest point in the path of purchase at the awareness level. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more. At the awareness level on our left. Right now it's filtered by all industries, but since we're looking at a brand brief for Samsung, I'll go ahead and choose tech, but you can see you also have auto and travel. So sticking with our brand brief from Samsung, I'll click on tech. You'll see how those charts just changed. So for the tech category in the US, it happens to turn out to be a display interaction followed very closely by social to begin with. The numbers that we see here are a normalized ratio representing where the channel falls along the consumer's path of purchase, with ratios that are greater than 1 acting as assist interactions and less than 1 acting as last interactions. We can take away from this chart that display and social are important aspects of the start of the consumer's path to purchase, with paid and organic being the final push towards last interaction and purchase. So I'll show you very quickly how this might change for auto. Auto, we can see here, in this particular case in the US, where social is very closely followed by email, and then of course organic search, paid search, other paid being that final push. And for for travel rather, somewhat similar when we look to social and email being more of that assist interaction. Again, followed very closely by, as you can see here, referral, other paid, and then organic and paid as well. So there's lots of other data here too, if I scroll down, such as average order value over time, purchase latency, and overall revenue from purchases later than 1 day. And again, you can find all this info by industry and for 6 of the largest international markets. So this tool is also great for setting client expectations because many clients expect to see immediate results. How many of us have seen that before with our clients? So many clients expect to see immediate results, but it might take time to recognize the value of assist channels the higher up in the purchase funnel. And so again, in just a few minutes, we were able to get some great information and answer these very, very, very important questions. So for the tech category, social, display, email channels respectively tend to be assist interactions, while paid and organic search tend to be last interactions. And 47% of revenue comes from purchases made in more than one day for tech, and 59% comes from purchases made in more than one step. And we just saw how I replicated that for travel and auto as well. So when we're planning for our HDT campaign, as we are for this example, we can use this data as a rough guide to appropriately allocate our budget across digital media channels to maximize conversions. So next up in our research tool is the Our Mobile Planet tool. Now, before I go into the tool, just think for a moment. How many times have any of us tried to convince a client to focus more on mobile and they just wouldn't budge? Right? I can hear the wheels turning right now. Well, the previous two tools did a great job of providing insights around the consumer and our target market for ACTVs, as well as the path to purchase as a whole. So we've included this next tool, which is primarily focused on mobile, simply because we believe that mobile deserves special attention. We're tracking more and more searches coming from mobile, and it's essential to incorporate mobile into any research and planning for a client. So the Our Mobile Planet tool incorporates data from third-party research by Ipsos MediaCT in partnership with the Mobile Marketing Association as well as the IAB. You can use this tool to help your client develop a deeper understanding of the mobile consumer and make data-driven decisions on how to use mobile to help grow their business faster. This tool can be used very persuasively for clients who just simply haven't embraced the mobile revolution yet. We can discover valuable insights such as: how do consumers use smartphones throughout their journey to purchase? How often does a consumer make a purchase on a smartphone? How frequently do consumers conduct internet searches using smartphones in my market? And what does the smartphone user base look like in my country? So we're going to take a dive into this very quickly, and you can imagine where this tool is located. Any guesses? You're absolutely right. It's back at google.com/think. Under Products and Tools, Planning Tools. And we simply scroll down past a bunch of other great tools, and here's Our Mobile Planet tool. I'm going to do one quick example of this. I've got to actually make this a little bigger for us there. So you can see we have data spread across countries, continents rather, and here we can see that 83% of US smartphone owners use their smartphone in store, and we're able to create a customizable chart. So here we're going to look at mobile behavior as an example. Watch to the right, folks, as I'm doing this. This chart will dynamically generate based upon my selections. So we're focused on the US, so we have an American flag, that's correct. We'll go into mobile behavior. Let's scroll down. To mobile shopping. And we're interested in this case in looking at the usage of smartphone in the purchase journey. And we have some other options. We can select those who might be looking at the beginning of their shopping experience, looking for inspirational ideas. Maybe they're looking for that inspiration for a dream vacation. They've never been in New York City. Or they've been dying to get a new car, as my wife has been asking me for the last 3 or 4 months. Don't flood my email with offers, by the way. In the middle of their shopping, maybe they're evaluating products or comparing offers. Throughout the whole shopping process, you can see to the right, this chart is dynamically generated. We'll leave it for the year 2013 now, but we can change that. We may only be interested in a certain demographic, an age category, maybe 35 to 44, compared to 45 to 54. Again, the chart is dynamically changing. It might be small on your screen, but you get the idea where you can do this in just seconds. And again, finally, perhaps we only want to target females. So now, in just a few seconds, we have a dynamically generated chart that we can change to a trend, or we can download as a picture to insert into our awesome presentation that we're creating, or maybe download the data in a CSV to pull into our own maybe Excel file that we're working with. And then of course you can share that as a permalink with anyone you wish. So in just a few minutes, we were able to find some pretty compelling data which highlights the significance of developing a mobile strategy in our market. And what I've shown you here today, and we'll be sending out a copy of this deck, folks, I'm showing you here the steps I took to actually find the answer to question number 1. How do consumers use smartphones throughout their purchase journey? I went to mobile behavior, mobile shopping, and then selected uses of smartphone in purchase journey and made my additional selections from there for age, sex, etc. So now that we have some great insights in terms of how consumers are researching HDTVs, what marketing channels influence their purchase decision, and how mobile plays a major part in their everyday lives, let's narrow our focus to find out some key terms and competitors in the HDTV market. Which brings us to, well, in this case, our last research tool that we'll highlight today, called the Google Trends tool. And the Google Trends tool can actually help us answer a number of important questions to help inform our HDTV campaign strategy moving forward, such as what does consumer interest look like in my product brand over time and by geography? Which other brands are competing for brand recall with my client? What are the top terms that are key to my client and recent trends surrounding my client or my client's competitors? You can get to this particular tool through google.com/think under products and tools and planning tools, but you can also, as you see on your screen, go to google.com/trends/explore. So let's go ahead and take a look there now. If you do go back to google.com/think under products and tools and planning tools, we'll simply scroll down once again until we see Google Trends. And of course we can try it and we can see an example, and of course we will try it now since we're live together. So Google Trends is literally it's a fantastic way to dive into industry product or brand specific data across Google and now YouTube. Two of the most frequent ways to use this tool is to quickly get insights into consumer brand recall and interest both by itself and against competitors. So again, using our television brand brief setting, let's go ahead and quickly examine the HDTV market by entering HDTV as a search term. Once I press enter, we'll be presented with some data here. So we're going to narrow the focus to the United States because it defaults to worldwide. And we can narrow our focus to the past 12 months as opposed to 2004 onwards. Immediately we can see how powerful the Black Friday and holiday shopping season is. It's right here, this big blip. Next, if I scroll down here, we can see top terms and rising terms. We can see some of the top brands in the consumer mindset. Samsung and Vizio being two of the top brands that we can see here. Clearly, Samsung is a market leader based on what we see here, though Vizio is not too far behind. Now, all of these numbers are normalized within Google Trends. We can also quickly and easily get a sense of where in the country a given brand is most popular in terms of searches, which provides great opportunity for planning purposes. Those geographical bid modifiers can be put to good use here to ensure that your client is present where consumers are most interested in the brand. You can even snapshot any of this information or download to a CSV file. So this geographic info actually brings us to the next section, which will be planning. So next, when we take a look at the top terms and rising terms, very easily we can see, again, we can enter in extra terms and actually compare Samsung versus Vizio. So you can compare your different brands as well to see if there's any differences. So again, you can see Samsung is in blue, Vizio is in red. So they both have that same impact through Black Friday and the holiday season, though we can still see that Samsung is a leader in this space. So back to our presentation. So we've answered very quickly some of these questions. Geographical location, what's happened in the past that might have had a major impact on our search terms. What are the brands that are competing for brand recall with our client? In this case, it's mostly Vizio, but we should be on the lookout for brands that are rising as well that might show up. And then what are some of the top terms that should be key to my client? And we saw some of those on the other page: LED HDTV, 1080p HDTV, etc. These are all items that we can use in the planning phase, which is actually what comes up next. Because we've done homework, we've done all that just now. We've researched on the client, we've researched on the industry as well as the consumer. So we now have some great insights in a very short period of time in terms of what marketing channels influence their purchase decision, how mobile plays a part, and what are some of the key terms and competitors in the marketplace. So these insights will really literally help you win that new business or prepare for the new client campaign. In our example, for a brand launching a new HDTV. So now comes the time to actually plan and build out some of our media for these campaigns. We saw from the consumer path to purchase that display was one of the first steps in the path to purchase, and search acted as a last push to conversion. Google has two fantastic, fast, and simple tools available to help you with this: the Keyword Planner and the Display Planner. First up is the Keyword Planner. We've actually consolidated the keyword tool and the traffic estimator into one smooth and integrated workflow. Notice how the user interface of the Keyword Planner is much, much cleaner and easier to navigate than the two tools you saw above. The second is the Display Planner, which helps us quickly and easily build new campaigns based upon inputs from users. So I'm going to jump into that now and show you a live demo. But all of these are found in AdWords under Tools and Analysis. It timed me out. Nobody write down my password. So I can navigate both of these tools directly from AdWords. They're found inside any AdWords account, as I mentioned, under Tools and Analysis at the top of the screen. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see some of this. I'm going to jump into the Keyword Planner. And now I can use some of the search terms I found via Google Trends and use them as a starting point for my campaign. I'll go ahead and start over. So you can enter a few or a lot of keywords, as many as you like. So for example, Samsung, HDTV, just use a comma, LED, Samsung, HDTV, 1080p, these are all what we saw in Google Trends. If we know the landing page where our campaigns will be landing, we can enter that here. I happen to know the one for Samsung, so I'll enter that here. And what the tool will do is actually scan and scrape that page to help with the analysis. And then we also have the ability to select different product categories. And since in this particular case we're looking for televisions, we can actually select it here as well. You can search for it, you can just type it in if you know what it is. And there it's selected. We also have the ability to select different targeting. We did see from Google Trends that North Carolina, Connecticut, and Washington were all fairly prominent. So I've already input those there. So with a click of a button, the tool will instantly build out a large number of ad groups that we can pick and choose individual ad groups here, or even keywords to add to our plan, much like the way you would add when you're shopping on any of the major sites. So as I add groups to my plans, I'm just picking them off the cuff here. As I add groups to the plan, look to the right, because you'll see how this builds up over time. The shopping cart dynamically updates estimates for us. So let's assume I've added here everything that I'd like for my planned campaign. I can now click Review Estimates for my plan here to the right. So now to get a specific ad group level estimates, I can pick a sample bid by entering at the top of the screen, or by selecting from the chart that we see below. I'm going to go ahead and just put in $3.28. You'll see this change a little bit. So there we go. I've built out a campaign and estimates I can share with the client for clicks, impressions, position, cost, and I can even select a number of different bidding levels to provide options to my client just by dragging. Then I can either save this to the account, as you see here on the top right, if I'm operating within the current client's account, or I can download and save for a later time to re-upload later. That, in essence, in a nutshell, is the Keyword Planner. Again, it only took a few minutes, building upon some previous insights to put this together. So let's quickly examine the Display Planner next. Again, I'm still within the AdWords account. Keyword Planner, Display Planner. I simply have to click there, and I'm in the tool. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same keywords and landing page that I got before, because we have insights that prove that that's what we should be using. So again, Samsung HDTV. My recommendation is for all of you to copy and paste those into, say, Notepad. That way you can simply copy and paste versus what I'm doing right now, which is recreating the wheel every time. That's a Sheldon tip, not a Google tip. Okay, excellent. So again, almost instantly, we have ad groups built out to reach consumers across a large number of different formats across the Google Display Network and YouTube. On the left, over here, I can filter by image size, video, mobile, even operating system. I can align any of these filters with some of the insights I picked up from earlier research, such as mobile OS to target, demographics, and mobile. So just like before, this is the very same shopping experience, shopping cart. I'll pick a handful here. You can see to the right, it's dynamically generating our plan. And again, we can look at what we have and then review estimates and review the plan. So again, now that I've done this, dynamically generated, this is very similar to what we just saw in the Keyword Planner. If we're happy with what we have here, we can save to the account if we're in our client's current account, or we can download this to re-upload later. But we have our full plan right here available for later use. So that, in essence, is the Keyword Planner as well as the Display Planner. Again, for those of us who are involved in the actual media planning, you can dig much deeper into this. Many of us on the call today don't handle this, so I'm going at this with a high level. But definitely reach out to your Google representative and we can do a deep dive into any of these tools when you wish to better help you and your business. So finally, we've come to optimizing, because we've done our homework clearly, and we've planned our media, and we've run a campaign. These last tools are aimed at helping you gauge and benchmark your campaigns, as well as give you a full picture of how you're delivering value to your clients. I'll say that one more time. To give you a full picture of how you are delivering value for your clients. Many of us might be thinking, I struggle with that every day. So bear with me, we're going to cover that right now. The first of these tools is the display benchmarks tool. Once again, I'll navigate to this from google.com/think main page, and we'll, of course, select products and tools and then planning tools. So I'll go there now. So if we haven't written it down, write it down now. Google.com/think. That's where we spend a lot of your time. So we'll simply click Try It Now. And as you might have guessed it, the display benchmarks tools can help us quickly gather some comparative intelligence to determine how our display campaign is performing relative to the industry and region we're operating within. So I'll scroll down a bit here. We've got some filters here. We can filter by country. I'll scroll down to the US, since that's our example for today. We have different verticals. You'll see we have autos and vehicles. We also have travel. For the case of our brand brief today, which is for that HDTV campaign for Samsung, we're going to go ahead and choose computers and electronics. Watch how below the data changes. So we've seen down here rich media interactions. The interaction rate, 1.32%. Average interaction time, 13.07 seconds. You notice when I hover over these, it tells you the definition of each. Click-through rate, all of this is available right here. So we can example trends to see how CTR might have performed over time for this region and vertical. So again, very quickly, I won't go through all of this because the goal of this is to make you aware of these tools so you can do a deep dive on your own. But very quickly, I'm able to gather some comparative intelligence to determine how my display campaign is performing relative to the industry and region I'm operating within. So lastly, we come to the full value of mobile tool. This is a calculator that helps us walk through on a step-by-step basis how to calculate the holistic value that mobile drives for your client's business. And as we saw from our earlier research with the Consumer Journey to Online Purchase tool and our Mobile Planet tool, consumers are moving seamlessly between multiple devices, whether they're at home, in the office, or on the go. Mobile is playing a key role in this behavioral shift, and this has a huge impact on the ways marketers should engage with their customers. Even when the final purchase is not made online, consumers are still researching their purchases on both desktop and mobile. We're seeing that mobile is spurring different types of conversions, both online and offline. For example, click-to-call, cross-device, from apps, in-store, on mobile web. As the path to purchase gets more complex, this means there are more complex measurement challenges. Solely tracking and measuring success by direct response in e-commerce does not give an accurate depiction of the holistic full value your campaigns are adding. On the actual tool itself, there's a phenomenal case study by Adidas. I'm not going to show it to you here, you won't get the audio, but I'm going to point you to it. That way you have a chance to actually get some of this real life dialogue. So we're going to go back to google.com/think and navigate to the full value of mobile calculator. And again, products and tools, planning tools. Scroll down. And mind you, I'm not touching all of these tools here. The goal is, now that you know where this website exists, you don't need passwords to get into here. You can come back and explore all you need to. So here's the full value mobile calculator. If you want to see that phenomenal Adidas case study, you can actually access it right here. Watch the video. But for our cases, we're going to go right to the calculator, and I'll speak to some of the points that happened in the case study. So we estimate that it will take about 30 minutes for you to fully run through the entire calculator from start to finish. So we're going to take just a glance at the different sections here today. The tool is built really in a wizard or walkthrough format so that each step of the way you're able to upload campaign data directly from your AdWords accounts or make some key assumptions about different variables. The calculator begins with how mobile drives in-store sales. So if you're an online-only business, you'll be prompted to skip this section, but let's see what some of the first steps are to calculate this. So here you can see we're prompted for the first question. How many people clicked get directions from your mobile search ads between 4/1/2014 and 5/1/2014? If you're unsure of this or where to find this data, we can always click Need Help. When we click Need Help, it will actually walk you through the process of actually pulling data out of your AdWords account or give you tips of where else to go for the information. If you know the data, you can just plug it in yourself. For our demonstration purposes, let's go ahead and just say 500. Next is what percentage of users who clicked on Get Directions actually visit your stores as a result. Now, that's a bit of a tricky step, right? The actual number of visits that were driven by those clicks. Once again, if you need help, if you don't have the information, you can click this and we'll show some shared benchmarks from our own case studies. So as you can see here, I won't zoom in, but as you can see here, for the tech industry, it's 6%. For travel, it shows 8%. Shopping, 24%. So since we're doing this brand brief concept, we're in tech, and that's 6%. So now, that said, when you actually walk through the case study, what Adidas found was that from their own in-store analytics, they knew that there was a 13% likelihood of a purchase made by someone who just generally visited their store. However, when people actually did a search for directions, they found that the conversion rate was actually higher. So they bumped up that figure slightly to 20%. But in our case, we'll leave it at 6, just so you know you can have those more detailed conversations with your clients to build up that extra value. So of course, now we come to what percentage of store visitors made a purchase. And again, referring back to Adidas, they had 13% going up to 20% because they specifically searched. Now, we've come to the actual last step of the in-store full value of mobile tool, which is what is the average value of an in-store customer's purchase. We can get some need help here. This is if you've conducted some form of an in-store analysis. You may already know the average order value of an in-store purchase. Knowing that users tend to be closer to the point of purchase, you can adjust this number up slightly. If you don't have in-store data or to reference, then use your best estimate. Nothing is 100% perfect, but at least we can derive some examples based upon our client interaction. So, if your client that you're talking to doesn't have any info readily available, we go ahead and make an assumption. As I mentioned, you'll see in the Adidas case study, Adidas used an average value of $80 for their case study. We'll just use 50 to keep it simple. And here we can see that we now have some results from our actual full value mobile calculator. It's not fully populated because we haven't gone through all the steps, but to the right here, we can see that the picture is becoming slightly clearer. According to the calculations thus far, our campaigns are driving $300 of value in the store, or 60 cents a click. That was not being taken into account before because most of our clientele only give value to the very last interaction. So now this is real value that you're driving for your clients that might not be attributable when strictly doing direct response or e-commerce as the sole KPI. So continuing on the tool, you can progress through the wizard to calculate the value of cross-device purchases, app downloads, you name it, phone calls, etc. All available right here by going through. It's simply a big wheel. So at the end of the tool, you're able to download a beautiful report showing the value, ROI, and CPA from your agency's campaigns that you can share with your client to reinforce your work thus far, or even expand the work you're doing with them. So we've covered a number of different tools at a very high level that will help you and your team research, plan, as well as optimize and measure. All of these tools can aid your teams as they are preparing to win over a big new business prospect or planning campaigns for new and existing clients. All of these tools are free from Google and can be accessed quickly and easily by anyone on your teams. So, what have we been able to learn from some of these free tools for our HDTV research? As you can see, a whole lot. We've answered a ton of questions. We've learned everything from how consumers begin their research and journey to purchase, to individual brand interests over time, and by region. Additionally, in terms of planning and optimization, we saw how we can build out both search and display campaigns for our client or perform research, help optimize our display campaigns with benchmarking, begin to model our full value of mobile via new mobile conversion types. With all of that at our disposal, we're truly enabled to take the plunge. With that, we have roughly 7 or 8 minutes left. I would like to open it up for some questions as I've seen quite a few fly by. Shalini?
Great. Yes, thank you so much, Sheldon. I really appreciate all your help. A few questions that have come in. The first one is, can you show us again where to access all the tools? I know you went through the website, google.com/think, but if you can just go there one more time so everyone knows where to access it, that would be great.
Yes, I would be happy to. So for everyone, it's google.com/think. You'll see that it forwards to Think with Google. I just really like saying google.com/think. But when you go to Think with Google, you'll see a ton of this information available. Go to Products and Tools, the last menu item on the right, Products and Tools, and Planning Tools. And then you'll see all the ones I covered are here, plus there's more. I'll scroll down slowly so you can see it. But this is all on google.com/think under Products and Tools, Planning Tools.
Thanks. The next question that came in was around TrueView in regards to the keyword planner. And some of our audience members were just wondering if the keyword planner will be able to be used with TrueView.
I believe the question was when, and I don't have an exact timeline on that. However, I'd be happy to inquire to see if we can get at least something, but we're not exactly sure when that will be able to be used.
Perfect. And could you just review the industries again that all of the data is available for? I know we focused on auto and travel, but just for anybody else who's interested in other verticals, if we can just go through the different verticals that are available real quick.
Sure. Now they vary by tool. So I'll go back into one of my favorites, which is the consumer barometer, because I just love getting consumer insights because it seems to be very impactful when we deal with our marketers. So if I go into browse here, and I can look at some of the categories, of course by country, but let's look at the U.S. For this particular tool, we have automotive, finance and real estate, groceries and healthcare, media and entertainment, retail, technology, and then travel. Now we have subcategories as well. So you can see where you can get more granular if you wish. Right, hotel stays specifically. 73% purchased online of all the people purchasing hotel stays in the US. That's pretty compelling data, and we can dive in deeper. But it varies again by tool set.
Great. And I think that's all we have. So thank you, Sheldon, for your time, and you all for attending. We will be following up via email with a copy of the slides as well as a recording to the webinar. So with that, have a great afternoon, and thank you again for attending.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Right on time.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect.